Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Angel Insight. How are you guys doing? My name's Michelle Christides. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. Today I've got what's called a daily insight. It is a timeless reading. However, with a timeless reading, however, with a window. So we have a window of the next 10 months. And this is about you and another coming together um, in what I'm getting in a very prosperous way. So this has to do with prosperity between you and another. Okay. I also have been getting from my team that those of you that come in here to watch this are more of the feminine energy. And this oracle is inspired by the movie and the story of Far and Away. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with that movie, but where we are at this moment and what the story wants to come in to share with us related to this particular oracle is this is between you and another. And when I went into your energy, okay, let's do this. There's a point in the movie where Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, who are newly married actually in this film, they escape to America. They're Irish immigrants and they escape to America together. And they find themselves in a position where they need to rely on one another. And so they're living together in New York. And this is kind of where we're kind of at here in the story, okay? And basically, what Spirit wants us to know and to gain from this particular part is that there's this like getting to know one another inside and out. And the feminine energy is like an adventurer and trusts their insights and goes for things. But there's some lessons to be learned. Okay. Specifically, the lessons that are coming in is all about unconditional love. So there's a lesson of unconditional love. And what this unconditional love does is it leads to this evolution and it leads to this new beginning with this person. It could be a man, it could be a woman. You have a connection with them. And whatever this connection does between the two of you is develops into something very prosperous. Okay. But there's lots of lessons going on. And the unconditional love is coming in, and what Spirit's doing by bringing in this movie is bringing in ways for you to work with the energy and to kind of allow that inspiration. So maybe watch the movie, journal on these things. This is going to be an energy that you're going through over the next 10 months as you are both going through some changes to come together. Now, not everyone is separate, okay? It's not a literal, but it's coming in to help us understand the energy. Okay. So, when I went into your energy, I went into what's called a show and tell. Those of you that are new here, it's where I kind of plug in and I get everything. I hear things, I see things, I feel things. Okay. So it all kind of comes together. And when I went into your energy, I definitely felt my heart. Your heart is longing for this connection to shift. So there's this shift that you want to see in this connection, whatever it may be. And this shift and what's happening at the same point in time, you, my friend, I've got deep goosebumps here. Ooh, big release for you. Okay, there's a shift in this connection, but what's happening with you, and that's why your team brought you here. What's happening with you is you're also undergoing some changes that are necessary for this alignment, okay, for this challenge of unconditional love, which leads to evolutionary changes. Okay, you have to understand you are both trailblazers. And this is very, I'm not going to say dangerous, but it is very difficult. It has been very difficult. Um, to move together, but there's this dance. You're learning from one another, okay? And the masculine energy, okay? I'm getting your feminines that are watching. The masculine energy, man, woman, okay? Doesn't matter. But more of a masculine energy wants you to notice the changes that they're undergoing and wants you to acknowledge those changes. So I was feeling shifts are happening on your root chakra that's allowing you to be more vulnerable. Okay. Because you've been going through a lot of shifts. And because of that, it's it can be challenging to assimilate what others are going through. Okay. So how can we step back, have unconditional love, and remember that it's not just you on this journey together. Okay, together, because that's what I'm getting here. It's like there's going to be a moment over the next 10 months where you come together. And so these changes are evolutionary for both of you and allow this coming together to really um, spark, to really spark. Okay. So, changes for you and vice versa. How can you acknowledge those changes with that other person? They're working really hard. They're making these changes in a lot of ways for you, inspired by you. Um, and it's for themselves as well, but also it's part of having the unconditional love for you. Okay, so it's just a beautiful thing. So remember, the lesson here is unconditional love. That leads to evolutionary changes. Okay, now with that, we want to also understand that there's some alchemy involved. So we're going to take a look at what do we need to alchemize? How can we have more grace for others? Okay. And specifically, how can we be one with our abundance in all ways, including in this relationship? And there's some healing and clarity coming in, okay? And it's all about you stepping into your individuality. So it's like um, in the movie Far and Away, they come to America because, the character of Nicole Kidman is not feeling safe to travel on her own. She's not feeling safe to do things on her own. And it's like you're kind of like on your own. And this is what you want to shift in your relationship. You want to feel like you're moving in the same direction. And it's like you are moving in the same direction, but you're individually heading to that. So I just keep getting this convergence, okay? This convergence. It's like you're each in a vehicle. You have your GPS set, each of you, but where you're stopping along the way, what you're assimilating and accumulating along the way is different for one another. But it is this beautiful balance. Okay. So we're going to give you some tidbits here. We're going to give you some tidbits here about all of this. Again, this is over the next 10 months. I do have a message for you from Yahweh, which is what I've been led to call God. Okay. So I don't know why I'm going to say this, but let's just say it. God is, there have been many gods, but there is only one Yahweh. Okay. So that's why I want to explain that for this channel. And here's a message for you from Yahweh. Far and away you'll stay if you can't be the light in the dark. Find your spark. Feed the fire with not just your desire, but also humility and grace. So we're going to jump into this. We're going to be using the Animal Spirit Oracle. I really love that I pre shuffled. And when I pre shuffled, what we have here on the bottom is the earthworm. Okay. And it's like you're finding your way, you're feeling a little blinded, you're not really sure where to go. But in the middle of it all, it's like Some of you feel like you're knotted. Some of you feel like there's a lot going on right here. Some of you are kind of knotted. You're stressing about it. And I want to tell you, your angels and guides brought you here so that you wouldn't stress, so that you could get some clarity, so that you could get some healing here, so that you can hold the pace. Because being a pioneer, being a pioneer is not easy. 10:01 on the clock. There is an ending and a new beginning for you. And it's like you're crawling through the dirt, you're looking for the ingredients, you're feeling blinded, but at the same time, very optimistic. So, definitely feeling that energy. We're going to do 6 shuffles together. What is this alchemy? What is this unconditional love lesson that we're going for? Let's get a little bit more information about it. There it is right away. I just turned it around. You're you're focusing on this prosperity. And it's this alignment with this masculine energy. The peacock speaks to me. I mean, the word prosperity comes out right away. This is the masculine energy. And as we look at the head, as we look at the crown of this masculine energy, we also realize that peacocks, male peacocks that actually have such a beautiful feathers, and they lose feathers. So there's this almost like this journey of this other person. Remember, it doesn't matter if it's masculine or if it's a masculine energy to your feminine energy. And they're going through some changes. They're going through this alchemy, especially in that crown. Okay. Really kind of finding out who they are, trusting their judgment, finding their way. And remember, they want you to notice, friends. Okay. They really want you to notice. They're they're kind of cold, which is that's really interesting. You feel that they're cold, but inside they have all the feelings for you. And this is really interesting because there's different stories here, okay? But this crocodile, it's like this is the energy that's building off the peacock. It's like this crocodile knows what it needs, and it's going to be patient, okay? And it's going to keep its eye out. And this is the information for you to be patient, to wait for what you want, to not necessarily accept what is going now. Because remember, your heart is longing for this connection. You actually see so much in this connection, but it's like there's this patience, um, there's this waiting, this patience. And as we're waiting, we're really concentrating on ourselves. We're really concentrating on ourselves, okay, over these next 2 months. How can we let go of the mask? Where can we see clarity? How are we protecting ourselves, okay? Because there's this vulnerability that's coming in. And with this raccoon energy, what I feel is there's this mask, and this mask has been developed because of your collective shadow, your collective experience. And as we're connecting in this movie to the ancestors, okay, and what's really special about this movie that wants to come up right now, Ron Howard directed this movie. This movie started for him. I got major goosies, okay? This movie started for him at the age of 6 when his grandmother exposed him. He actually had people that took in his family that participated in the ride of Oklahoma to discover land. And so that's what inspired this story. And he used what's really unique about this particular movie that wants to come forward is they used a special film. Okay. And what this film did is it increased the luminosity or the light. So, as we see this raccoon here, how can we release the mask? How can we surrender the mask that's comfortable? How can we allow more light to come in and to bring things into balance, to allow those emotions to calm, to really be able to meander down the stream? Okay, that's what I see every time I see this tiger. I feel this, the emotions, okay? It's like the emotions want to fire you up, but how can you cool them down? How can you meander? How can you stay above the emotions, have that unconditional love, even though your heart is longing? How can we have that patience, right? This is incredible because I saw this while I was shuffling. And this is an energy, this is what we're shifting. This um pounce, this need to defend yourself, this need to I don't want to be say controlling, but yet there's an air to that. You've been on your own. Let me explain. You've been on your own and you've never really felt supported or heard. And so this again is just a natural reaction, but how can we let the light in to really see with more clarity? Okay? To really see with more clarity and really build on this tarantula, okay? How can we take I love this because whenever I see the spiders, we've got the ancestral link here. How can we take those parts of our ancestry, and that's what I'm talking to. How can we take those parts and make them bigger? How can we see them, just as Ron Howard did, as inspiration for this film based on his ancestors, showcasing the link and attributing back to that in a lot of ways, my beautiful divine feminines. How can you do the same? How can you take the wounds of your ancestry, and how can you make them big? And I'm hearing for some of you, how can you make some big BHAGs is what we called them in Party Light. Big, hairy, audacious goals. Wow. How can we make some big, hairy, audacious goals and trust that those are coming from within? So this is super duper interesting because I'm immediately getting something that I saw recently on TikTok, kind of on accident. Yeah, right. No such thing as accidents. And what it was about is to take out a piece of paper right now, write down goals, write down 10 goals you have, make them in the present, and then look at those goals and say to yourself, which one am I going to go for? And then you take out another piece of paper and you write down 7 steps, working backwards, working forwards to make that goal a reality. And I'm not really sure why that's coming in, but this is a major part of this coming together because, oh, I have deep goosebumps. Because in the movie Far and Away, okay, we're like in that. I told you we're living together in New York, but the whole purpose is to go on this caravan ride to declare and to have a home of their own. Now, Joseph in the story, the masculine, he's doing it because his home was taken from from the Nicole Kidman's, I forget her character's name, father, ironically. So it's just a really beautiful story. So he's fighting for his generation, for his generations moving forward. And Nicole Kidman's character is fighting for her independence, for her freedom, for her ability to believe in her own power, which is something that she did not have at that time. Okay. So this is truly so beautiful how this is coming in. What are we talking about overall, friends? Of course, we're talking about your prosperity. We're talking about so much here. Rabbits, always speak of prosperity and abundance, but also they're highly preyed upon. And it's like if you focus in that zone, it will not serve your purpose. Okay. So, what I love about watching like a bunny come out, I'm seeing them on so many walks. They come out and they bounce around, they kind of hold back in the brush, and then they come out and then they really just have this faith. They feel the fear, they do it anyway. This is in relation to this big, hairy, audacious goals. How can we have movement and converge And how can you have your journey and acknowledge the journey of the other? Let's get started. We're going to do 12 cards together talking about this abundance, this prosperity coming together. We're going to read a couple cards. But our very first card that we're going to talk about here is, what are we actually grounding in? Look at this metamorphosis, this phoenix energy. I've been feeling it. And this is this card, this actual deck. My decks do symbolize different things. This is actually symbolizing and speaking very deeply about what's happening to you, to your divine feminine energy. And there's this resurrection, burning away resurrection. You're all in different points of this, okay? And it's important to recognize that. But you have this phoenix energy, you're grounding this in. And what's really beautiful about that is something is being burned away. There's this new beginning, but it can be a little scary, right? It can be a little scary. And your angels and guides have brought you here to let you know that this is part of that spark in the dark. Okay, part of your journey is really focusing on your spark, really acknowledging your intuition, your feelings, your insights, how the world communicates to you. Okay, this is, and that unconditional love, to trust that for yourself and to see that quality in others. Okay, so you're really spreading your wings. I see that you're rising in your frequency. Okay, you're rising in your frequency. And remember, we told you we have this change happening on your root chakra. You've been healing a lot of interesting energies. We're not going to go into that, but on the Egyptian timeline. So you've had some time in Egypt, and you're healing those, and you're burning away, and we're rising up in that frequency, which is going to change your experience. So the vulture is here, that root chakra. We've got this burning away, we've got this fire coming in, but this fire, 2212 on the clock, I really love that. It is the structure of evolution. We're allowing something to die. We've got this phoenix already happening. This is happening between you and the earth. The earth is saying it's time to burn away. Let that frequency come up. How can we allow what's to die to go? How can we give it to the vulture so that it can be reassembled? Okay, interesting. I'm hearing Johnny Five alive. Okay, that is just so weird that I'm hearing that right now. So hold on just a moment. I want to make sure is this interference? No, Johnny Five alive. Okay. Does that have something to do with the type of energies here? Yeah. Are these all hybrids coming in? I don't, I definitely don't channel these kinds of things. But now that I see this rabbit, it's really kind of giving me this velveteen rabbit, energy. And it's like everything that has been created will, in divine time, become real, right? And so it's like this applies to you in so many different ways. How can we allow some of those things to die? How can we not allow things that are created on fear, on shame? How can we be more vulnerable, have unconditional love for self and for others? How can we see that the universe has your back, and that the things that you are losing, okay, that that is for purpose. That is for purpose. Okay. I do feel this energy with this vulture is like, this is a concern for you. Okay. Um, and it was in the movie as well. When you kind of go on your own, there's this, your heart is longing for this connection, but you feel very alone right now. You're not getting a lot of reassurance. And that's because You're developing your own individuality. You're developing your own journey. And remember, it's going to converge and come together. So, how can you respect that as much as possible? Because this transformation is happening, folks. It is happening. It's so crazy because let's count how many I said. It said, look at the orange spots. Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's like, look at these transformations, these changes, these little, well, not little, these sparks of light. The spark in the dark. Do you see that literally on the dark wing? And it creates this illumination. Okay. It creates this illumination, this butterfly effect, if you will. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. We're getting lots of beautiful energy here. We have this transformation going on in that sacral. That's what this butterfly is saying. Your divine feminine energy is going through a transformation. We've got this. You've been working with the earth. You're allowing things to die. This is bringing you into prosperity. Okay. It's bringing you into prosperity. You're ready. You're ready to crack the code. Crack the code. Grab the oyster. Hit the pearl. And it's like this oyster. This is what you're doing with your power. This is what you've been working on. There is some sort of irritant. Okay, I'm getting on multiple timelines. Reinforced on this timeline, and this is what you're currently working on. You know, the pearl is the only crystal, if you will, that is created by hand, by us, by you. It is formed by an irritant that is renewed and renewed and renewed and renewed, and it turns into this beautiful jewel. And this is what's happening a lot in your masculine space, okay? And as you are rising into that higher heart, there are things that we're going to let go. This is letting you know you're ready for this journey, okay? You're collecting the pearl and you're ready to go on this journey and take others with you. I do feel that you're going to be taking others with you, but you've got to be ready to move forward. You've got to jump forward. And, you know, the energy of this character in the story is she is not afraid to make those big, hairy, audacious goals and jump forward and to feel the fear and to do it anyway. She is ready to take her dreams, which feel intangible, and make them real. And how does she do that? By loving herself and loving them more than the obstacles. How can we clear the frog from our throat? How can we share this big, audacious, hairy goal? Because when we speak it and we traverse it and we bring it here into this reality, and remember, oh, I'm feeling the heat. Okay, I'm feeling the heat because there are certain energies that don't want you to have this prosperity. And these certain energies we've created, folks. We feel we're not worthy of them, but you are. You are. You don't need to remain in this storm crowd. You just like in the movie, you don't need to remain in these harsh conditions. You can move forward. And you know, it takes a gunshot for her to come back to her family, to come back to her roots, and to find herself on the same trajectory, but in on her own. And that was something that she really feared. Okay, she really feared that. So how can we keep our eye on what makes us want to jump forward? Okay, here we have this owl. And now this is a barn owl. Okay, you can tell by the heart-shaped face. And guess what barn owls do, folks? They work together in pairs. They work together in pairs. So let's read about this. How can we have more unconditional love for self and for this other person? Okay. This is the energy that we're reading into. Let's go ahead and bring this forward. It wants to be read because I was told when you and this other person converge together, you know, within these next 10 months, when you come together and go on this pioneer on this new earth, new energy that's very prosperous for you and for them. Okay. When this all happens, it creates this frequency together. And this frequency is the frequency of the gods, 936 hertz. This is how powerful this connection is, friends. Okay? So I just really want to bring that home. And the lesson is the unconditional love for self and for the other. So let's see what the owl wants to talk about when we find this lesson and harness this lesson. Abundance, clairvoyance, and treasures. The owl is mysterious and otherworldly creature found in folklore from east to west. The white owl in this particular deck is the campaign of the goddess Lakshmi and represents wealth, beauty, and good fortune. When the owl card appears, it's an omen that a bone or a treasure is on the way, either in spiritual or material form. With owl wisdom on your side, you'll see and know exactly what to do with this bone. How can it further serve your Dharma and bring abundance to the world? Trust that the wellspring of treasure is infinite. And we were talking about this lesson of unconditional love. And as you rise into your heart, and as your divine feminine energy rises into the heart, that's the journey you've been on. And in tune within you, your masculine energy rises into that higher heart. It expands your vision, it expands your clears, and it expands you in a way that brings this prosperity, because this is just one of two owls. They do mate for life, they do come together, and they work in pairs. So, how do you know when this is in balance? You're feeling generous, you're trusting and secure. And that's why your angels and guides brought you here, because that's where they want you to be. When you're out of balance, you have money quarrels, you have scarcity mindset, okay, between you and this other. To bring into balance, how can you make an offering? How can you let go? And a big thing is coming up is how can you let go of those expectations, which we know do are disappointments in the making. Things may not come together in exactly the way that you expect it, but you've been brought here, and we're going out of our way to reassure you that this is all coming together for your highest good. Okay, for your highest good. So we see an expansion here in your clairs, okay, in that divine feminine. And this totally goes with everything we're talking about. Why is this? Because we're healing on that root. We're healing some of those. Sorry, my hair is driving me crazy. We're healing some of those things that we undercome on different timelines that have created this kind of like bubble around us of not being vulnerable, of not being open. And it really kind of comes, I do feel from, oh gosh, like a pain in the neck from that scarcity mindset. Okay. And it's like we want to jump forward. And that's what that frog is saying. Okay, so let's keep going here. How can we be our most authentic self? Just sing your song. Sing your song, do your thing, and allow others to do the same. Okay. You're going, I do feel it. You're, especially with this ancestral connection, you are undergoing things at night. Um, Potentially some night sweats, potentially some weird dreams. Okay. Interesting. Um, Potentially seeing some sparks, seeing things around you. And it's like, go within and ask your team, are these for my highest good? Sing your song in spite of it, because the world is literally moving around you as you take steps to converge. The world is moving around really the both of you. Okay. How can you be your most authentic self? How can you allow your song, what's on your heart? Because that's your journey, friends. You've been rising into this heart chakra. And what is this heart chakra all about? It's all, what is this journey all about? It's about harmony. It's not about desire. Let's repeat. Far and away you'll stay if you can't be the light in the dark. Find your spark and feed the fire with not just desire, but also with humility and grace. So, not just based on what you need, but what is at the highest good for all involved. Okay, this is what it means to move into that queendom. It is the harmony of the heart. It is your divine feminine rising out of that sacral, where things can be really, not that the emotions can't lead you, but it's like there's a lot of turmoil there. A lot of things can happen there. Okay. Remember, in that area, we're going through a transformation. We're going for into that spark. We're getting those sparks in the dark. Allow that to fuel you over the next 10 months. Okay. Over the next 10 months. It's interesting. How can we work with the eclipse energies? Okay, I'm getting that's a big thing for you. Interesting. And there's that earthworm. There's that earthworm. Okay. And this is where we started, right? And this earthworm is coming in this position. And it's like, how can we expand our imagination? How can we know that, and how can we focus in on our feels? Okay. How can we feel our way? And how can we learn? Okay. It's so interesting because I'm getting this expansion with you in really understanding how you work, how your intuition works, how your team works. And there's an expansion in your clears to deepen this experience. Okay, to deepen this experience. Um, I really think this is beautiful because there's this story that wants to come forward, and it is related to something that happened on the Egyptian timeline. I just can't shake it since the moment I saw it. And there's this story about how it's in the Bible actually, and it's about how the worm falls into the sand, okay? And it meanders through the sand. And in some ways, it's like we cut ourselves off from some traumatic experience. These are called bloodsuckers, right? These are called bloodsucker worms. It's not your average worm here. These are called bloodsuckers, and they rise to the surface when it rains. They rise to the surface when it rains. So, how can we jump forward from these bloodsuckers, from these energies that make us feel afraid, that make us feel that we don't have control, that make us, that's not what I want to say, that make us feel chased and hunted. Okay, I'm getting like a lot of like Dracula here with this bloodsucker. Okay, this has a lot to do with what's transforming. Okay, and as these transform, it makes this real. So, how can we hold ourselves in this space in the center, is what I'm feeling here, where the color, how can we allow the transformation? How can we use our imagination? How can we rise above the emotions? And how can we realize, my beautiful divine feminines, that the power of your imagination, the power of how you create, is based on a lot to do with who you are. Okay. So there's a part in the movie where Nicole Kidman's character, sorry, I can't remember her name right now. They she's at she's like trying to do something to make more money so she can go on her own, right? And she's really frustrated with Tom Cruise character because he's noticing another girl and really not noticing her. So she decides to go to this brothel and dance. And this is what ultimately leads to them both being outcasted from the whole community that they thought they were part of. And they become destitute and it's freezing. And she's really losing despair. And they find this house and they break into this house just to get warm and get some food. And they take a moment to prepare as it's Christmas. They take a moment to, it's not the best Christmas for them, but they take a moment to use their imagination and really connect together and see something different. And it really, oh, got deep goosebumps right now. And just by using that moment of vulnerability, of allowing that heart longing to connect to that imagination and to see far beyond the obstacle in the way, and just being in that moment, it just really does a lot. So, how can we see the obstacles? Remember, you're a pioneer woman. Yes, my friend, you are. And it's not an easy road, okay? Even in the movie, 4 people broke bones, okay? Even in the movie, there was lots of hardships that really occurred, because it was a very tough life to live, okay? So how can you allow yourself to feel the way in the darkness, to find that spark, to allow that transformation, and to use your imagination and to use color in, in meditation. To what are you noticing? Like, when I first started meditating, I was noticing yellows and purples. What are your colors? When I notice something really transforming for me, I see this. It almost feels like an orange, but it's a red color, but it's actually a deep orange color. Okay, so how are colors coming into your world, and how can you use your imagination, and how can you expand on that and allow that to wash over you and nurture the expansion of your metamorphosis, the expansion and letting what was go, allowing the new come in, expansion in this transformation to that divine feminine so that it can meet in alignment to continue to lacquer and formulate this pearl, which will allow you to take others. That has a lot to do with your power. What you're going through is going to assist others to allow expansion in the shift to jump forward, to be more resilient, okay? To see that you're not on the path alone, even though you do feel solitary, to know that abundance is for you, to see with the eyes of the heart, to know that there is a coming together if only you be you. Stay in your soul song, speak from your authenticity. Okay. And this is a reminder, you don't need to see to do that. How can we allow the expansion in our other clairs? There are 6 clairs. We focus a lot on seeing, but your sight is very dependent, friends, on many things below. It's like playing Jenga. Okay. It's like playing Jenga. And I love it because I just saw that those holes in the Jenga, you know how you pull it out and it creates these holes? Your spark, your intuition, your divine feminine, the game that you play between you and spirit and source based on who you are, you're illuminating those holes and crevices. And this is what's allowing this transformation. It's so very important. Okay. So, I love how this is coming together for you. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, this is our next card we're going to read, the shark. Now, the shark, again, he cannot see good, but guess what? He don't need to. He has literally a sixth sense. Literally. Okay? It's almost like a homing device. He can sense the movement. He can sense very subtle changes in temperature. And this energy is coming in to allow you to really allow you to forge and clarify and heal, clarify, and expand this energy, this sixth sense about you, this clairvoyance, this understanding, these things that you just it's like you just know. And for so long you've been wanting to get to the bottom of that. And it's like how can we just accept it and move on? Just see it as part of who you are. And it's like the more that you expand in that department, okay, the more that you expand in that energy, okay? This is a water energy, of course. This is allows you to traverse through the emotions, okay? This allows you to understand and to sense the energies. And this is really important because where we're talking about right now is it's like we're kind of in the pineal gland, and it's this is so I know I'm referring to chakras. I'm trying my best on how the story and how these energies affect you physically and actually affect your energetic makeup. And so when we're talking about the pineal gland, the pine cone, okay, the pine cone opens when it's on fire. Okay? Opens when it's on fire. Transformation when it feels its spark. Okay? But it closes when it feels the weather. Okay? So when rain is upon, it closes. So there's not much clarity on which to do. But notice there's no deer in the headlights here. This is a frog. And he has the power to just jump forward. Okay? So let's go ahead and see what the shark wants to say in this particular oracle. When this energy is in balance, things feel intriguing, captivating, and mysterious. When out of balance, it feels sneaky and destructive. So, to bring this energy back into balance, just be honest. This is what's going to lead to this clarity, to this clarity, right? This development of the sixth sense for you. Directness, exposure, and revealing true nature and desire. The shark is only dangerous when we don't acknowledge it. This card indicates that something big needs to be exposed. It's lurking in the depths, it's creating tension. Shark energy takes over us when we are hesitant to be honest, to be totally ourselves, or to say what we really want. It may be tempting to continue pretending nothing is wrong, but when shark energy is at play, we feel its presence encircling us. And as this encircles us, it closes the pineal gland, it closes the clarity that we desperately want, right? And then reverts to expanding the fear narrative, which takes everything that we just built from the bottom up and it changes it. Okay? Do you see that? So we want to really be honest with ourselves. We want to face those fears that we have for ourselves, that we have with this other individual. We can acknowledge those fears directly. We can acknowledge them in journaling. How can we bring them from here, where, wherever you're holding them in your body? How can we bring them out and put them on paper? How can we bring them into our reality so that we can clear the energy and open up and have the clarity? Okay, this is the alchemy at hand for you. This is what I was speaking of. Changes going on the Egyptian timeline. A lot of dense energies there, friends. Okay, so it's like you're picking up on this, but how can we not give power to it? How can we allow ourselves to be above the emotions? How can we claim the gift in that trauma? Okay, and as I'm speaking about that, it's like, what do you do when you see a shark? You remain still. How can we go within? How can we meditate? How can we take a moment to not let it run the narrative that it wants to run, trapping us, making us feel smaller, right? Making us feel worthless, making us feel afraid, powerless, all the things. And instead, how can we freeze, go within? How can we release those energies that are encircling us? How can we rise above them? Fierce like the phoenix you are. Again, far and away you'll stay if you can't be the light in the dark. The light in the dark. Find your spark and feed the fire with not just desire, but humility and grace. How can you remember that you are not the only one who is healing, who is dealing with deep dark desires? And how do you know who's watching? Many of us are here to embrace these, to find the alchemy, right? To find the alchemy so that we can rise into something different. I sure feel like a totally different person from all the experiences I've had. And trust me, I still sometimes lose my head, like like the Queen of Hearts. But it is not like it used to be. I'm learning more about who I am, and I also am learning so much about how much fear was really ruling my life and why. Not just because our I've had in this lifetime. And what that means, your connection is unstable. Okay. Hopefully this comes through okay. All right. What that means is most likely you've involved many trauma, outcasts, feeling alone, regretting your supernatural powers. Okay. Remember, we created these ourselves. So let go of the fear, find the alchemy. And how do you do that? Sometimes you fall into it, okay? Sometimes you fall into the fear. What would it mean if I was, unlovable? What would it mean if I was alone? What would it mean if um, I wasn't nobody was thinking of me? I'm just thinking of different things. How can we lean into those? How can we fall through those narratives and realize the potential of allowing that alchemy to happen? Okay? How can we take that fire? I love these cards. I love the fire ants. They have such an amazing message. How can we allow the fire to expand our vision? And this is foundational, friends. This is foundational for you. I told you, you have changes happening in your root chakra. You have healing and clarity coming in from things that you experience on the Egyptian timeline, okay? And the fire ants are here to tell you, we're coming in, we're redoing that foundation, work with the earth, we're creating a spark, we're going to allow you to rise. It doesn't matter how much water comes. Leap forward, my friends. Did you know the fire ants? They come together and they float as a living raft in times of flooding. Have faith in this spark. Have faith in this foundational shift for you. Okay. And allow time for growth. Allow time for that connection within yourself to the world around you, to this other person, to your community. There are so many roots that you're putting down. It's like this is foundational and this expands your vision. It is this fire, it is this taking over, it is this shift that happens for you that creates this expansion, but it takes some time, friends. It doesn't happen wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You are creating evolutionary changes, and it's affecting you to see color. You're not seeing yourself in that duality anymore. I love this coming together, okay, building on that earthworm, okay? So the earthworm was about your imagination. And this is coming in, um, really kind of talking about the changes within you. See this portal of color, this portal of color, not seeing yourself as just duality, black and white, but really embracing and seeing the portal of allowing the shift into color. Because if you take a zebra and remove their hair, they still have the stripes and they are unique. And you, my friend, are meant to embrace your uniqueness, to not see it as weird, to not see it as an outcast, but as a coming together. This is a portal for you to walk through. This is, you're going to feel it in your body, friends. Okay. These are like changes literally happening to your body, crystallization to your structure, changes in your nervous system because of this alchemy of what? This alchemy of what was lurking, what needs to die, those shadows on that root chakra, on that Egyptian timeline, allowing the foundation to shift, allowing that foundation to come in, to have a major overhaul on that foundation, to allow something else to grow so that we cannot feel encircled, but instead trust our clairs, trust our sixth sense, even when we can't see, taking the focus off sight. Please take the focus off sight and allow yourself to feel the transformation, to smell the transformation. Like, really dive into what are you feeling? How are you? What are you touching? What's happening around you? What are you hearing? All the things, because you have major transformation happening right now. And I'm hearing it's about damn time. It's about damn time, the evolutionary change into grace. I have deep goosebumps. This is who you are. Do a dear, the first. Do a dear, the first note, a note, harmony. You're meant to speak in harmony. That is who you are. That is where we're going. Okay. And that's that root chakra, that first chakra. This is what we're attuning to, friends. Okay. Now it's interesting because I said you don't have deer in the headlights. And this doe, she's not in the headlights. She sees the beauty of her grace. She embraces her grace. She embraces, you know, her this spark within her, this alchemy that's happening around her. She hears. She pays attention to what's happening around her. Okay? She pays attention to what's happening around her. Whenever you see a deer, they don't just get startled. They look, they pay attention, they take in all their senses, okay? And then from there, they gracefully move. So even if something is a fright, they gracefully leap away. So let's see. This is the 12th. This is about your evolution, friends. The deer comes in, the doe, the deer, the harmony, the music. I feel it so strongly. Okay, let's see what the deer wants to come forward and say to you at this moment about this evolution. Okay, and before we do that, I'm getting another message about that shark card coming in. And it's like that shark energy, okay, as it's encircling, what's happening is it's kind of closing off your crown chakra, your connection. So for those of you that feel led, I am getting like wearing hats, scarves, headbands, taking some time to protect that crown chakra, okay, can make a difference. I just love these colors. Like, take a look at these colors compared to everything else that we've been going through. These beautiful yellows, greens, um, blues. This is this expansion of this harmony, right? So, as we take our power and meld it with the harmony and step in our authenticity, it's like, man, nothing can touch you. Loving, intuitive, graceful, the mother. The deer represents the feminine aspects of earth energy. The energy is available to all creatures, regardless of gender, but is especially potent to new parents or to those who are birthing something new. Goosebumps! During the first few days, they are fully present, nurturing, and calm. Their inner beauty radiates a sense of grace, calms the room. A dear personality affects others in this way, drawing them toward a quiet tenderness. The deer card may appear when a birth or a celebration of a new life draws near, or when a situation calls for absolute gentleness and compassion. This absolute gentleness and compassion, friends, is not only for yourself, but also for your Joseph, whoever that may be. That story is coming in because in the movie, she does one thing, he does another. He judges her, she judges him. How can we eliminate that whole game and just trust the trajectory? Trust that it's all leading to prosperity and that individually you're going through your own changes. So, when this is in balance, remember the lesson here is unconditional love leads to an evolution, and the evolution is into this dear energy, the mother, the graceful, intuitive, and loving. Okay. So, when this is in balance, you're feeling compassionate, you're feeling nurturing, you're feeling receptive. And this is your true nature, friends. This is the true nature of your energy. And this is why we have this openness of vulnerability coming to you so that you can tap into your true nature, into instead of that which has just been forced upon you. Okay? I hope that makes sense. When you're out of balance, you're feeling concerned, overly protective. So to bring it into balance, nurture nature and children. See with the eyes of wonder. Allow the children in your life to guide you. Okay. Potentially, with this, we do have new grandchildren on the way, a new child on the way. This perspective, there is a shift, there's something new. I feel this energy is new within you. I feel that many of you, feel like this rabbit in the Velveteen story. It's like it's so loved by this boy. It's so loved and it feels so good to be loved by this boy, but then that boy gets sick and has to get rid of his rabbit, right? And now the rabbit doesn't have any value and it goes on its own journey to become real. And I feel in so many ways this is what is happening to you. And it is a beautiful thing, my friends. So I just want to go in and see if there's anything else missing. Okay, Spirit of the highest light. Thank you for being with us today, first of all. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for these messages. Thank you, Yahweh, for the gorgeous message. Thank you for bringing all who need these messages here, setting a full intention. Thank you for allowing us to come together and to collaborate. And I encourage you to put messages of what you're feeling and how this hits you. Okay. Is there anything else, Spirit, that you would like me to share? No. Are we complete here? We're complete, my friends. Remember, you are not alone. This is all about collaboration. Honor your journey. You were brought here so that you can understand a couple of those missing holes. Okay. More than anything, I leave you with a message to be who you truly are. And who you truly are is part of the symphony. And once your dough is attuned properly, it will shift everything. It will truly shift everything. So keep following on this channel. We do talk about tuning energy here. You might find that you are a tuner. You might find yourself in need of tuning. So keep watch for what comes on this channel. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you have found some beautiful messages in this oracle. And thank you, Spirit, for allowing me to share. Have a blessed day.